Hey, it's Mimi Chen from AsAmNews, and we recently caught up with hip hop rapper Ethan Kim. And just who is Ethan Kim?
So my name is Ethan Kim. I'm 18 years old. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. And I am an aspiring musician, actor, entertainer, performer. I'm a first year freshman at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. That's where I currently reside. Right now I'm in the dorm. I don't know if you could tell. My room looks like a dorm. I don't know if it does or if that's a good thing or not. Yeah, I'm a first year student. Right now, undecided major, but leaning right now towards like political science and maybe minoring in music or something with performance along that side. Just a very extroverted person, very go-getter, personable, like to be in front of crowds. I've always been that way. Since I was a little kid. I've never like grown into anything. Ever since I was like, gosh, like a little baby, there'd be those home videos with that we would watch. And even since I was a little baby, I've always wanted to be in front of the crowd. I'd be trying to get the most attention at the little church performances where we're all singing. I'd always be the center of attention. I've just always loved the crowd, love performing. I think it's definitely my passion. It's what gets me excited. I've never really been nervous to talk, perform, and speak in front of people, which I think is a blessing. Um, so I am from the South. Oh
How
yeah,
come
sorry.
you don't have a Southern accent?
Oh, yeah, I don't. I'm actually very Americanized. I like to think myself in a very weird demographic. Um, because obviously in the South and North Carolina, we don't have nearly as many Asians as other towns like Dallas, obviously anywhere in California, more in the north like New York and things like that. But I'm very Americanized and I still feel like I'm very still in touch with my Asian side, which is weird though because my both of my parents are not very Korean. So my mom immigrated when she was 3 months, and then my dad immigrated when he was in second grade. So my
Oh, so
mom,
they're
she
very, raised very
very
American as
very
well.
Americanized. So my
But
mom,
does
she
anyone
doesn't.
still speak Korean?
My dad can. My mom can understand a little bit, but she can't. Like she always tells me, if she were to go to Korea right now, she would not be able to carry herself at all. She would definitely need a lot of help. And obviously growing up with not a lot of Korean, people around me. I mean, it's still, going to Korean church. I feel like every Korean person has gone to a Korean church. Um, I would still have that influence, but not nearly as much as some of my other family who lives in LA and other family who lives in Michigan and other more areas with Korean people. Even though they immigrated around the same time, my cousins are a lot more, I guess, Korean than me, just because they have that influence. But I still don't consider myself. I hate using the word whitewashed. I hate using that term. I really don't. But I don't consider myself whitewashed. I feel like I'm still in tune with my culture. I definitely have a lot of appreciation and respect for my heritage and my ancestors and where I come from. I always, want to learn more about it. I don't ever want to try to be less Korean. In fact, I want to try to learn more and become more Korean, if anything. So that is something I do pride myself in, just, being able to pride myself in my culture and who I am as a Korean American. So interesting with the demographic or the location that I was raised in, obviously the South. And I still have these, I do like the likes. I like barbecue, I can listen to a little country music here and there. Um, yeah, so it's kind of weird. I get the best of both worlds. But I think that's been very beneficial to how I grew up now and how I look at the world. Obviously, I grew up with a lot more diverse community as opposed to like a very uh, like Korean aspect. I grew up with a lot of like my closest friends growing up were uh, people of Latinx heritage, Black, white, all different kinds of people who were around the same financial situation or income as my family. And I think that's helped me quite a bit because now coming to college and meeting all these people from all around the country, all around the world, and so much easier to connect with other people just growing up in the atmosphere I grew up in, which is great. And I think that was a really cool experience, especially when my Harvard video started blowing up.
You were talking about the whitewash thing. It's funny. I was just talking to someone else about there seems to be two separate groups of Asians. There's the militant Asians who grew up around Asians, are surrounded with nothing but Asians. So they view like Asians who commingle with white people as a little bit of a traitor. And I
Mhm.
think to myself, I think it's because both groups don't understand the other's environmental impacts.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And you seem to be, you know, the kind, just like myself, where I grew up in New Jersey and
Mhm.
surrounded by mostly white people. So,
Mhm.
you know, you are your environment.
I think like you said, I think exposure is definitely the best way to educate. Um, I think oftentimes, like especially with Asians and other racial groups, I mean, we're seeing right now with what's going on. Unfortunately, it's hard for people to sympathize with other pain. It always ends up becoming like, oh, well, we have it this way, but it's like, oh no, we have it harder. But I think that just comes from the lack of exposure, from seeing the
Mm,
other side, seeing other perspectives on life, which is why I think I've been blessed. My father, he was a minister for a bit, and he had this church called Mosaic, which
hmm.
it's like a mosaic painting, which is a mosaic painting is like, with all different colors and different things. And I think that really played a huge role on me growing up, because it was a diverse church. I mean, we would have, the music was like traditional Black soul music. Uh, they were Haitians. We consider them like family. I call them auntie and uncle. They're Haitian. Um, and just growing up in that church with all these different ethnicities, I think I'm very fortunate now, because I do have that understanding, that exposure of other perspectives, which I think is something that hopefully we can all strive for eventually.
Is that what, you know, informs your music, that exposure to all the different types of cultures around you? How would you describe your music?
Yeah, so I'm definitely trying to figure out exactly what kind of sound I want to go for. I think there's a difference between making music that you want to make and making music that will do well as far as the numbers.
Hmm.
I remember first getting into hip hop rap was when I was a little kid, and I was volunteer. My dad, they always wanted to teach me the purpose and um, the importance of giving back and helping the community and making things about other people. And so we would always volunteer every Saturday at this homeless shelter. And I remember one day I was a very loud kid and I was making a lot of noise. And there was a gentleman who we were serving, and he said, "Hey, come over here." And I was like, "Oh no, he's gonna get mad at me for being loud and obnoxious, and my dad's gonna get mad at me." But I go over there, and he actually tells me, he's like, "Do you know anything about hip hop or rap?" And I was like, "No, sir." I was just a little boy. At the time, he was a black older man. And then all of a sudden, he's like, "Well, make a beat with your hands." And he started teaching me how to like make a beat, banging on a little trash can or whatever. And then he just started freestyling, and I just remember being so in awe and so like, wow, this is amazing. This is so cool. I've never heard anything like this before. And then every week we would volunteer there, and he would tell me more and more about rap, and he would teach me about, Nas and, the real like OGs and the people, the classics, Rakim, Nas, Jay-Z, of course, Tupac and Biggie, all those people. And that's when I think I really started to develop this love for hip hop.
Hmm.
And then J. Cole, obviously being from North Carolina himself. I think I like artists who really tell a story, um, and put their heart into the lyrics, and you can really feel their emotions, like Kendrick Lamar, I think. Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, people who, when you listen to their words, like they're not just doing this for the money, for the streams, or for anything. They're putting their heart, their soul, and their passion into it. So I think for my music, I want to put music that is actually about me. Whether that be me on the humorous side of me just kind of joking and making people laugh, but also some more deeper concepts and deeper things about talking about who I actually am, personal experiences. Yeah, just more deeper lyrics and meanings.
Do you feel like your music has a more humorous side to it, or
I
how
think
would you describe that?
I think initially it definitely did. So I remember the first time where I really was like, wow, this is really cool, like performing, rapping, was when I was in 8th grade. There was like this band that came visited us, and we had like one of those assemblies. And I went to a pretty big school for North Carolina. My middle school and then my high school was like the biggest in the state. And I remember we were just there, and at the end, they were just kind of showing us about improv music, and they said, "Does anyone rap?" And then someone just yelled Ethan, and then they all started chanting Ethan. They're like, "Ethan,
Wow.
Ethan." And it was like, oh shoot, this was the first time I had to like freestyle. And I went up on stage, and the drummer started giving me a simple beat, and I just started freestyling. And the first thing I think of was just like funny lyrics. I don't know what I was saying. I was like making fun of school and whatever and stuff like that. It was nothing too serious, but it was just really joking. And I remember though the joking, the bars or lyrics are what got people going crazy, and everyone started like jumping up, and it was just such a great experience. I could feel the energy
Uh-huh.
reciprocating, and it was just such an amazing experience. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe like my freestyling of making jokes and funny is what gets people is what gets people laughing. So when I got to when I got to high school during freshman year, I ran for student council. And I knew everyone was going to give, the basic speech, the hi, I'm
Mm-hmm.
responsible, all this. And I was like, nah, I'm going to do something different. And I did a whole rap. And it was also like joking again, like a little more serious, but also humor at the same time. And it did well. I won president freshman year and then sophomore year and then junior year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It was nothing too serious, but I was like, maybe I think people reciprocate well with the humor. And then we did these two fundraising rap videos for our high school called Cans, which you can check out. They were when I was like a sophomore and
Mm-hmm.
junior. Um, and basically, it was these rap videos we would make to promote this thing called the Student Hunger Drive, the Carolina Student Hunger Drive, which is where we would raise cans and food for the needy in the Charlotte area. And we'd make these videos with our rival school, and whoever got like the best video would get more money to help donate. And I would make raps for them, and I thought they were pretty good. They were pretty well received, but they also, again, had a lot more humor, a lot more jokes in them. Um, and then for the Harvard video, I decided, how am I going to do this? Because obviously this is going to be for Harvard, like the most prestigious school in America. How am I gonna approach this? And I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, I made the whole Harvard video, which I'll probably end up talking about later. The whole purpose was to just have fun and to show them exactly who I am. My type of person is I don't act a certain way for anyone. Not to say that I'm not like mature in certain moments, but obviously I don't like to put an image that I'm not. And I said, okay, I'm gonna do this how I want to do it. And obviously the Harvard video was known for the humor that I added in there. And I think I would say it was pretty well received. So,
So the
um,
Harvard video, that was about you trying to get into Harvard. What happened there?
so man, now that I didn't get in and it's all over, I could be like completely honest with what happened. It started as a dare. It really started as a dare. um, I got deferred. My friends from break who were at college, they were all a year older than me. I knew them from speech and debate, closest friends. A lot of them were at prestigious schools. Some of them were even at Ivy Leagues or Ivy League calibers at Duke and schools like that. We visited, we had lunch, and I told them, hey guys, I got deferred from Harvard. And they were just jokingly like, hey, no, make a rap video. Because you hear about these stories how kids will get into super top tier schools by making like these crazy essays. Like that one girl who got into Yale, um, she wrote about like pizza delivery or something like that. And you hear these stories, and I was like, we were all like, maybe I should just take it to another notch and just make a whole rap video, like the craziest letter of continued interest ever. And I did. So at first it was a dare. I lost the dare. It was a game called What Are the Odds?
Mm-hmm.
It goes like, what are the odds? 3, 2, 1. And then you name a number 1 through 10. If you get the same number, you got to do it. And, I'm a man of my word. So we both said 4. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then it was fate from there. I didn't know who could make a video because I only knew one guy in high school who could ever make a video, like top tier quality as far as cinematography. I'm dropping my friend off back from home after this lunch. And literally, I see him next door. And I talked to him. I'm like, hey, what are you doing here in Charlotte? And he's actually on break, or he actually is taking a gap year from his college. And he says, I'm going to be in Charlotte for the next couple months. If you ever need work on a video, let me know. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is fate. This is the
Mm.
world telling me, this is the universe telling me I have to make this video now. There's no other option. So I was like,
Right.
you know what? I got to do this now. So I told him about the idea. He laughed and thought I was joking. And then the next day or the next week, I sent him a song. He was like, oh, okay, you actually want to do this. And I was like, yeah. And I jokingly told him this. I still have the saved text before we even made the video. I jokingly told him, I said, I'm going to be the one to get you 1 million views on YouTube. And I was obviously being sarcastic, but I did kind of believe that it could get some momentum. So I sent out this video to Harvard. I created this YouTube video called Harvard, Please Let Me In as a way of letter of continued interest. I did not believe that making a single rap video was going to get me into the most prestigious school in the world. And I think, or in America, however, subjective question, but I think a lot of people thought like, oh, he's gonna get in just because of this video, and that's not what I believed at all. I was not trying to send a message that I thought I could get into Harvard just from a video. The message was that I'm just gonna be who I am. That's who I
Mhm.
am. I'm a risk taker. I like to do very unconventional things, and I'm gonna be the one to send this crazy video to Harvard, you know, because I'm not gonna switch up my personality, my character for anybody, even if it means that college. And so I submitted it, then posted it on YouTube, and then the next thing you know, it got a couple 10,000 views and 30,000. Next thing you know, it was 100K, and then 200, 300, 400, and then it hit a million, and then I don't know what it's at right now. I think it's like at a 1.4 million, but
Wow.
definitely a really cool experience. When I got rejected, I genuinely was not like surprised or like disappointed. Obviously I was disappointed, but I wasn't like sad because I genuinely didn't think I was gonna get in just from this video. I also thought like if they let me in, that would set a precedent that, oh, you can just make a video and get in. So I kind of expected for me not to get in, but I was a little more disappointed mainly just because of how many people I knew I was gonna let down. Because
Oh, I don't
the
think you have
day
to think
of,
that way.
yeah, no, I know. I wasn't, I was just like, there were so many people who were like rooting for me and thinking I was gonna get in. I was like, oh no, how do I do this?
No,
And so when I
everybody is
post,
just disappointed for you.
yeah,
But,
yeah.
I think nowadays the attitude is if you're, because the thing about these Ivies, they can like fill up their classes with 3 times as many of those people they rejected and still
Oh,
get the same quality of student
exactly.
body, because that's how great the kids are, really. And
Yeah.
then it's like if you were that, in the deferred, that means you were pretty much as good as anyone else in that class. It's just because they filled it up.
Yeah, definitely a really, really weird story. It was actually a couple, I think about a week ago from today that I released it. It was February 6th, 2020,
Hmm.
before the pandemic, you know, when all things were okay. Yeah, so it's about a year since there's this feature on Snapchat where you can get the memories. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It shows like the memories of the Snapchats you took, and it
Right.
shows you this is like 1 year ago, 2 year ago, and I'm getting
Hmm.
all these memories of me of it like blowing up, and I'm seeing it like day by day getting more views. It's pretty cool to think about that.
So where do you find yourself, going with your music in the future? What do you think?
Yeah, so I don't even when I think about music
Hmm.
and how I like to view myself as a performer and what my goals are. Everyone tells me that you become the most successful when you do something that you love for the passion and not for everything else. But my passion also is like, the crowds and the big people. I do love music itself. I love performing, or I love, the music aspect itself and sharing my story through lyrics and through instruments and things like that. But I think my real passion really is performing in front of other people. I did acting all throughout all my life as well.
Hmm.
Big into acting. Really would like to be an actor as well. I think my biggest role model is probably Childish Gambino, Donald Glover.
Hmm.
Just like the Renaissance man. He did comedy. He was in Community, the show. He also does music.
Yeah,
I think that's
he
like the
really is
perfect.
super talented.
That's exactly what I want to do. I don't want to be limited to just one thing.
Hmm.
But as far as music goes, I think in my ideal world, I could just be like the biggest star ever, and like I want to be the first Asian to get the EGOT. I want to get the Grammy, the Tony, the Oscar, the Emmy. I want to get all of that. I want to be the first Asian American to get that. Shoot for the moon. Um, but as
Why
far
not?
Yeah, as far as music goes right now, I truly have the confidence in myself that I believe I have the talent to I guess quote unquote make it big. I really do. I feel like, you know, I think also talent's subjective, but I genuinely believe I want to sound arrogant, but I do have the confidence myself that I would have the ability to make it as far as my personality, as far as my performance aspect, my stage presence, but also just the rapping talent. But I think it ultimately comes down, especially in the entertainment industry, it comes down to luck and like the perfect storm. And I've talked to a lot of people in the industry, and they all say the same thing. It comes down to that perfect storm.
Mm.
There's so many people out there who are so much more talented than the big names you see, and than me, people who you've never heard of their names before. They're just playing outside or they're playing in their room. No one knows who they are, but they're so talented. And unfortunately, they may or may not make it. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to being at the right place at the right time. And I guess that's for me. I'm just knocking on wood and crossing my fingers that eventually, that perfect storm will happen for me.
That is something that the magic formula does not really exist for success in the entertainment universe. And you're right, a lot of luck and stroke of lightning. So what do you have planned for the Joy Ruckus Club? What are
Yes.
we going to be seeing that day?
So I will not be performing the Harvard video or the Harvard song. I'd like to stray away from that now. I don't want to like bank off that. Yeah, I'm not going to be performing that. I'm going to be performing the song Zuko, the one I made. It was literally that it was in quarantine, had nothing to do. They put Avatar back on Netflix. I was watching it, and people were telling me like, Ethan, you got to make another song after the Harvard video. I was like, I don't know. But then I saw Avatar. I was watching Zuko. I was like, I'm just gonna make a song called Zuko just because I like him. He's such a cool character. So I was like, let's do it. Nothing crazy. There's no deeper meaning behind it. But I did, and then I ended up writing Zuko. And then the more I started writing the lyrics, I was like, wow, this is actually a lot deeper than I thought. Because Zuko in the Avatar character, he's all about character development. Wanting the approval from his father. And next thing you know, the lyrics become like so deep about about not doing things for the approval and becoming your own person. And I was like, wow, this became so deep for no reason. But I think it's a pretty good song. It's a sophomore song that I made, so it's not perfect, but I think it is pretty good. It's energetic. I'm going to be performing a song called Rush Hour 4, which again, very spontaneous with my song names. So one of my best friends from high school, we did speech and debate together. He wasn't from my high school, but I met him through high school speech and debate tournaments. His name's Jordan Tate. He goes to NC University, which is a HBCU. And he's Mr. Freshman there, doing a great job. Love him to death. He wanted to do a song with me, and we were like, well, what should the song be about? We were just thinking, and next thing you know, we were like, you know what? You're Black, I'm Asian. Let's just do Rush Hour 4. It's as simple as that. I mean, I couldn't think of anything like deeper than that. But next thing you know, we started making it, and it was like really funny and really good. I think that's definitely the most humorous one. We don't make like any racially insensitive jokes or anything like that. We're really just kind of having fun, playing off the movie. We sampled one of the clips from Rush Hour 3, which is the Chris Tucker, the you scene. I was like, "Who are you? I am you." It's that scene. So we sampled that very just lighthearted song. I think it's a very song. Just if you're a very hype uppity song with a lot of humor in there. But then I also had a song called Reinvented, and I think this is more of where I want to direct my music towards. So that's also going to be featuring a guy named Ramsey the Fourth, another good friend. He actually goes here to UNC, and the song is very different from anything I created. I wouldn't even consider it hip hop or rap. It's a lot more melodic, poppy singing. Ramsey has a chorus. It's very catchy. Hopefully, at least I think it's catchy. Hopefully, other people will find it catchy as well. And the song Reinvented is basically about like reinventing my image or my music. And the song is completely different. It's very different sound. But the lyrics are definitely, for once, a lot deeper. It's about being an Asian American in the South and the things I've had to grow up with, and kind of just being the oddball. I think that's the message of the song about, I've never really been the same as everyone else. I've always been a very unique person, whether that be for my racial identity and also just my personality, how bold and outgoing I was. And the song is about, just not ever becoming different and forming into my own identity and just embracing the oddness. And I think it's a really good song. All my brothers, all the beats on all my songs are produced by my brother. And in the past, he can make the easy trap beats. I think anyone can make easy hip hop beats. But if you hear Reinvented and you listen to the beat, it's very different. It's Kanye influenced. It's Tyler the Creator influenced. A lot of old R&B mixed with futuristic synth and pop. I think it's really good. And that's another
Very
thing.
cool.
Shout out to my brother Jacob. He's only 16 years old. He's 2 years younger than me, but we are, we're very close. Me and my family we're very, very close people. I think they're still the closest people to me. And so me and my brother Jacob and I, we always work together with music, hand in hand with what I want and what kind of beats he's creating. And he also created the last beat, which is a song that I made just for the Joy Ruckus Club. It still doesn't even have a name. I don't know what the name is. Um, I don't.
It's so new, we can't name it.
Can't even untitled. I don't know. Maybe I'll just call it Lunar Year or Joy
Mm.
Ruckus Club 3. But yeah, it's a good song. It's a good song. It's kind of freestylish in the beginning, and then there's a beat switch, and then even more of it's just straight bars. It's just straight. Like I don't know how I didn't die in the breath. I might die again with the breathing, because it's just, for how long the song is, I should not be saying that many words. It's like when you try to meet the word requirement at the essay, like it's so many words
You
in a short
packed
amount of
it in,
time.
didn't you?
I did. Yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to hearing and seeing you on this Joy Ruckus Club.
Thank you.
Do you know exactly when, which day you're performing?
I believe I'm the 20th. The
Okay.
20th. It's Dragon Stage, and I think that's the 20th.
Ah, okay. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you, Ethan.
Thank you so much.
And I want to thank you for talking to us today
Thank you
here at
so much.
AsAmNews.
Yeah, absolutely. Just thank you so much for the opportunity. Really had a great time talking about myself.